Cultural Affairs Officer in Kabul. Jane is a proud graduate of the University of Texas at Austin with a BA in Archaeological Studies. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Has anyone heard of 1CA? Has anyone seen the stuff that's come around? Okay. All right, we're reaching some of you. Hooray, good. Okay. I will take that back to my communications team lead that there is some awareness out there. I do not want to do a formal briefing on 1CA because that's super boring. Mainly what I want to do is give you a little bit of a sense of what and why, and hope that what I will do is maybe whet an appetite for a little bit more information if you're interested. Basically what happened about a year and a half ago, some of our senior consular managers, and as most of you know, only about 60% of consular operations is overseas. About half of our employees are domestic and civil service colleagues here in Washington, and then at our 28 passport facilities around the United States, as well as the National Visa Center and the National Passport Center in Portsmouth, and the Kentucky Consular Center in Kentucky. We have a huge civil service component of what happens in consular affairs. And what we decided to do, senior leaders from across that entire spectrum of 11,000 employees, decided that we are a really big operation. We have a huge budget, we have a truly global presence, and we have a Fortune 1000 budget just in the Bureau of Consular Affairs, but we really have operated like a mom and pop shop for a really long time. There isn't as much standardization of our operations, and we haven't really focused on training our managers and our supervisors what we kind of consider a management tradecraft. You know, we tend to promote within the government people who get really good at being practitioners of something, and then they get to be promoted over people that are now practitioners of what it is that they used to be doing. But we haven't really focused on how we train people to make that transition. And so what 1CA is an effort in our bureau to start, but we hope that something that might spread around the Department of State and possibly even around the government, to say, what do you need to know to be an effective supervisor and manager that goes beyond how to do counseling sessions and filling out forms and looking for training opportunities? What makes you a successful manager and leader of an organization? And so the way that we decided to answer that question, there are about three things. And the first one I put in front of you, and I hope this is one of the things that you may have seen before, is we've got 5 management tenets. And I hope also some of you may be familiar with the Consular Leadership Program, which is fairly well established. We have 10 of these on leadership. And there's no rocket science here. There's nothing that is proprietary or particularly earth-shattering. It's a very simple statement about the things that we think need to happen in our managerial operations to be really successful. And to my mind, when you look at this stuff, what this is about it's about not duplicating effort. It's not doing something somebody else has already done. It's about understanding the role that you and your office plays in a much larger organization. It's about understanding why your job is important. And so looking at that and then creating a clear expectation that within our organization, it's okay to offer constructive criticism. That's the assess honestly. And the Assistant Secretary of Consular Affairs has been very vocal about the fact that she really means that she wants people to be active participants in the work that they do and manage up as well as manage down in terms of improving our process. We view them as a complement to our leadership program for anybody who's familiar with that, and they're definitely not a replacement of leadership. We think this is something additional to what we're doing. After the tenets, we moved into something called a framework. And their cable went out, a department notice went out a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, introducing it. And I don't want to get down in the weeds, but basically it says that we have, building on these tenets, a management philosophy. And a management philosophy, for those of you who are like, why do you need that? It's the kind of the way that a company or an organization says, this is how we do business. And companies like IBM, Toyota, or the Department of Defense, different pieces of it, have stated management frameworks. And so we looked at a bunch of those. Some of them you may be familiar with, things like ISO 9000 or Six Sigma, Lean Theory. You may have heard these things kind of buzzed about. And it's a kind of a common vocabulary and a common translation of priorities from management to all levels of management to say when you managing wherever you are, whether it's just yourself or a team or an office or a directorate, that you already know how to make the decision that your supervisor is going to agree with because you understand how we do business. And the one that the Bureau of Consular Affairs selected is called Balanced, Smart, and Lean. And I really think the core of it and what I wanted to touch on today is this idea of balance because I think it's a little bit subversive and revolutionary, quite frankly, and I'm really, really proud to be a part of it. And what I understand balance to mean is that we know that our operations have to get 4 things done basically every day. We have to take care of our people. We have to take care of our people first. Because if we're sacrificing our people to get the job done, well, the job is going to stop getting done really fast. We know that we have to take care of our process. And in consular affairs, that's the getting the stuff out the door. The visas, the passports, the consular reports of birth abroad. But for all of us in the Department of State, there is something that we produce, whether it's a process or a paper or a system. We're producing something. We've got to get that done. And process is also where we talk about things like security and ethics. We're responsible for those things, and they're required. But if we get so focused on the process, and we're trying to get that right, very quickly we may sacrifice those people that we also have to take care of. We also talk about our customers. And I think when we talk about knowing who your customers are and focusing on taking care of them, it's not necessarily just that person that I hand the passport or I turn on the system for. In the Department of State, Congress, big customer. Spend a lot of time making sure that we're taking care of what Congress needs from us. The American public, particularly also in consular affairs. We have the American business community, the colleges in the United States that we issue visas for students to come to. These are all our customers, and we need to make sure that we're aware of our obligations to them and that we're meeting them. The last of these 4 things that we think you have to keep in balance is your finances. We're accountable to our bottom line, more so now than we ever have. And in consular affairs, it's been, I think, driving a lot of this because we're fee funded. I don't know that everyone in the department really recognizes that, but about 96% of the money that we spend in consular affairs, we receive them through the fees for the services that we provide. And for those of you who've been around for a while, like me, after September 11th, we saw a 40% drop in travel to the United States immediately. If that happened today, that would mean a 40% drop in the revenue of consular receipts, and yet my operation has to continue. And so being aware of how we spend our money, how we're prioritizing those resources, is increasingly important at every level of management. So what our Assistant Secretary and leadership in the Bureau of Consular Affairs through 1CA is saying to our managers, and again, managers at all levels, not just our senior managers, is be aware of these 4 things. Be communicating within your teams and with you people that you work for about their expectations and getting them all done. There's an obvious recognition that on any given day, we're probably going to be out of balance somewhere, right? You know what those days are like. There's a day you just have to get something done. Or there's a day where you've got someone on your team that you know you have pushed and you cannot push them anymore, and you have to pull them back and take care of them so that you can move forward. But the goal is that through dialogue, through communication, we're also working to improve our metrics. We're improving our information systems so we have a better sense of how in balance or out of balance we are. That we are clearly communicating that our priority is for empowered management. That if you know what your obligations are, if you know what your goals are, and how they are aligning with the organization's strategic goals, then you know why it's important, and you are also empowered to suggest changes to make it better. And that's where you get to the innovation piece of 1CA. The last big chunk after our framework is we're rolling out next week something called the Innovation Forum for Consular Affairs, which is not a consular sounding board, as I've been accused of building. It is something that is complementary, it is not redundant. And it's a place where CA headquarters is asking the entire global consular community to help us solve challenges that we see coming. The first one is about cyclical workloads. For anybody who's worked with us, you know that we have huge spikes in applications for some of our products at different times in the year. It's very costly for us, particularly in our domestic passport operation. So we have to bring people on board that are then underemployed later in the year. And if the only thing they do is adjudicate passports, then they're just sitting at their desk and there's no passports to adjudicate. So we've opened it up to the world and said, who's got an idea about how we can influence the public who apply for visas and passports and our other benefits to apply more consistently throughout the year so that we can better manage our costs and our demands on our people who have to deal with these spikes, right? And so we think by adding this piece at the end, where we have a place now to put these great ideas that are going to be generated by all of our empowered mid-level managers, then we get into this continuous cycle of improvement. And that makes us a dynamic, healthy government organization. And so I'll pause maybe, I think I've got 2 or 3 more minutes. I'll pause and see if there are any questions on that. And then Tommy charged me to be energizing and enthusiastic, and I've got one little point on that at the end. But any questions on this? I know some of this is really detailed, and if you don't work in CA right now, you're thinking to myself, why does this apply to me? Well, I'll tell you that we're working very closely with our partners in the M family, and there is some interest that pieces of this may be something that we can do department-wide. And certainly it is the position of the Bureau of Consular Affairs that there's nothing that we're doing that is consular-specific or stovepipe, and we always want to be partners with the rest of the Department of State colleagues that we have. So,
Jane, I
sure.
just want to interject. I'm putting poor Sonia on the spot here because she is not prepared to really say very much about Flex. But Flex was rolled out as an idea and a program at a previous Civil Service Association presentation. And although you're mostly looking at management and Flex is a job bank for employees, the managers have to actually post positions for the employees, and it's a 60-day, intended to be a 60-day rotation or assignment. So managers, when you said have to know what the game plan is, how it fits in, this looks like that you guys should be together on some aspect of what you're trying to do. Does that sound about right?
That was my plan. I was going to tell you about it because this program is a flex. It's called Functional and Leadership Exchange Program.
Okay.
And I presented it at the IRM trade captain training, and also three other students. They are attending executive training. They have to present something. So somehow they happen to be. It came up same time almost, and coincidentally they happen to be starting same time. So we working together since the goals and missions same.
Yeah.
We are moving forward. And now we try to do beta. We are still working on website. Maybe sometime maybe June or July we are focusing on it right now. And this is for the foreign service, civil service, all the grade level because we have a lot of leadership training for the upper levels, but not for the but they don't get all the training.
Right.
Whoever applies because of so competitive. So this is more like more chance to the older employees, even though executive directors and ES, as long as they are State Department employees.
Well, I think it sounds exactly like thinking globally and exactly like the kind of partnership that we're looking for. I would love to meet with you to learn more about it. Thank you.
Yesterday I met with IRM, one of the division directors. We actually discussed that he already offering, he's supporting, he said, there are a lot of managers, they may afraid to let their best employees. I said, look at this way, all the even managers, we all think about we want to develop ourselves more. We like every one of them wants to improve themselves and promote themselves. Why not encourage their best employees, give them a chance to going up? Because they are the best, get finished, stay there forever, don't give any opportunity. As much as we want moving up, we have to encourage the best employees, give them a chance. If they are success, we are success.
Right.
So that's my approach, and he already said yes for one support.
Wow. Well, congratulations. It sounds like a really dynamic program.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
A marriage made at the Civil Service
Hooray,
Association seminar.
Yeah.
We can all go home now. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Daly. No, you can't go.
Yeah, I really appreciate Tommy because at the beginning, Tommy's and Civil Service Team Association was a fully supported. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I'll kind of wrap up here. I mean, basically for me today, I was super, honestly, kind of humbled to get invited because I'm a Foreign Service officer and this is the Civil Service Association Day. And I was thinking about that, and at first I started to say to Tommy, because I have about half civil service in my office, and I thought maybe I'll ask one of my civil service colleagues to come because that'll be more appropriate. And then I thought about it, and I thought no, because I think that highlights a divide where the commonality is the important part, and the commonality is the word service, right?
That's it.
We're all in...
And servants.
Right, we're all in public service together.
Right.
We've all chosen this because, well, I don't know why you all chose public service. I know why I chose public service. But for whatever got you here, you know, it's what we do. And I think we're part of a really amazing organization. And our group, 1CA, is so about that. It's about reconnecting to why you're here and why it's important. And no matter what role each of us play in accomplishing the foreign affairs mission of the U.S. federal government, it's an important one. And if you can reconnect to that and take ownership of it, then we can all be better and more flexible is what we do. So I just want to say thanks for having me. And if you've heard anything in what I've presented today that sounds like it might resonate with you or your organization, please let me know. I'm here. I'm Jane Howell, and I'm on the Gal, and I respond to all emails. So thank you very much. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.